Word, son. What do you do, YouTube? It's your boy, Jay Divine. All right, man, before we get into this video, make sure to hit the like button, comment, subscribe, share the word, spread the links, because you know how I do. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, click the bell icon to be notified every time I upload. Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, man, so I got a little bit of Undisputed here in the background, man. I got Ryan Garcia versus Terrence Crawford. I happen to be in the Discord, and I was talking about something that was like bugging me about the game, and apparently the guy was like calling me out. I guess he thought I was complaining, and he was like, well, how about I challenge you? Don't duck me. So this is the guy who I was fighting. I think I get a flash knockdown in the first round. You'll see it on here, but anyway, I got that playing in the background. But I just want to talk about, man, like where my current thought process is when it comes to Undisputed. Now, honestly, ladies and gentlemen, not gonna lie to you, I'm honestly glad that a boxing game is out. A brand new boxing game is out. We have something to cleanse our palate, from fight night and stuff like that. And I'm really glad that we have something that's new. However, now for me, I'm getting to the point where I'm slower to pick it up. I have what is it, like maybe 25 or so hours, maybe a little more than that. I don't know. I don't really keep up with it, but I know I have a good amount of time that I've played this game, and how I feel right now about it. I know it's early access. I know it's going to take time for it to get to where it needs to be, but it's just, I'm getting to the point where I'm getting slower, like I said, to pick the game back up. Because when I go to play ranked, because I'm one of those guys where like I know what I can do in a boxing video game, so I'm going to utilize that time and that space and opportunity to go on ranked and get a good record. But I can't do that because of where the game is currently sitting at right now. They have this thing where it's left side of the head, center head, left side of the head, right side of the head. That's how they got it. Same thing for the body. Now, the thing that is really like, I don't want to say frowned upon, but it's not really focused on, there's no emphasis on, is throwing combinations. And I mean like solid, crispy combinations. Like if I want to throw a jab straight hook, right? Let's say jab straight left hook, right? And that was a good combo, landed flush, clean, crispy, and everything, right? And maybe it was on the tail end of a counter. They won't necessarily give that to you versus somebody who is throwing hooks on the same side of your face. You know what I mean? If a guy wants to throw 3 or 4 hooks, even though they had an arm fatigue, just because he's hitting that same side repeatedly and there's a meter that says, oh, this side of the head's getting drained or that side of the head's getting drained. Most of the time it's always the left or right side is getting drained. And because he's hitting that same side over and over, it allows them to get a stun regardless of whether or not you're countering them or whether or not you're throwing combinations and you're landing them at will and making them crispy. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make much of a difference because that's how the game's logic is pretty much. So the fact that people pretty much just go around the whole knowing how to box thing and they just run straight to that because they want to win, or that's what their record is mostly consisted of, an exploit that they've pretty much expounded upon, and they got their record built off of that. So it kind of puts a sour taste in my mouth because it's like, that's not what boxing is about. If they're trying to make it an authentic boxing game, not simulation, because they didn't say the word simulation, but they said more or less authentic. If that's what they're trying to make it as, an authentic boxing game, you have to make sure that you penalize players who play like that. You added arm fatigue, yeah, that's cool, but at the same time, if you added arm fatigue, there needs to be a penalty to people who play like that. Now, at the same time, in the same breath, this leads me to my next thing, the whole the S tier fighters. I'll say A, B, C, D, E, F, and then you got the S tier. S tier is like the best. S tier, then I guess A, B, C, D, or whatever. But S tier fighters like Sugar Ray Robinson, Roy Jones Jr., who else would you say? Ali. The list goes on, but let's just say those three are S tier fighters. I go to play heavyweight in ranked, and majority of the time it's always Ali. Ali literally has no weaknesses in this game. Now, I know they did an update supposedly toning him down some, and they also fixed the whole tracking thing where now your punches should be landing like they're supposed to, depending on the accuracy. But people who main the best fighters, it's just like a crutch for them to pretty much do whatever they want because there's no consequences for him. Like Ali is pretty much the Ozzy Frost of Undisputed right now. If you know anything about Ozzy Frost from Fight Night Champion, you would know exactly what I'm alluding to. That's pretty much what it is to this point. I've seen so many times where Ali is throwing hooks galore. And don't get me wrong, yeah, he's a powerful fighter. Don't get me wrong. But if I'm actually combinating with my shots, and just because he's landing hooks, that doesn't mean that you give him the stun automatically. Like, what sense does that make for me to even be working behind the jab if you're just going to give him hooks all day long? Like, there's got to be some sort of like trade-off for that. There's no weaknesses for the S tier fighters, the people who just main the best fighters. And that's what most people hide behind, is those kind of fighters where they know that they're not going to get in trouble for anything because they feed into their cheesy game plan. And I can't stand it. There is a way to get around it, but it's like you're more or less going to drive yourself nuts trying to beat them, because there's certain things that you want to do that you can do. You might want to pop a jab. Sometimes the countering system is wonky. Sometimes you'll have rounds where you're getting all the counters. The next round, you'll have some of the times where you're trying to figure out, how was that a counter? You'll have times you're throwing a jab, and just because a guy was walking around you, he didn't sidestep, he didn't weave or nothing like that. He just walked around you, and the game called that a counter. Or sometimes you might miss a shot, or he might miss a shot, and I could walk up and hit him 2-3 seconds later because the countering window was so wide open. You see what I'm saying? So just little stuff like that, man, and I get more enjoyment out of playing fighters like this, you know what I mean, where it's not cheesy, because this is what made it like really fun for me and enjoyable, is when I was fighting a fighter that wasn't cheesy like this guy here, where I can actually get a good fight in. I don't like fighting guys who just want to hook spam all day long, and the hook spam doesn't even have to necessarily be the same side. But if you're just throwing nothing but hooks all day long, and you're traded with me, but you're only just throwing hooks because you know that they're going to give that to you, why would you actually sit there and allow them to get away with something like that? You see what I'm saying? Like, where's the penalty for people who play like that? Where's the reward for people who are actually throwing combinations? As you can see, I'm countering this guy right here, and the only reason I'm throwing hooks is because I know Ryan Garcia has a crazy killer hook. I know he does. His hooks are tremendous. So that's the only reason why I'm throwing him, because I'm using him based off of how I seen him fight. And I know that left hook that he got, that's the one that sit people down. So I'm sitting there and I'm just, I played a game of Rant, and the guy who I fought, like I said, he was just throwing hooks. I think I had Sugar Ray Leonard. And I know Sugar Ray Leonard is not a strong fighter, and I know that you got to fight on the outside with him to be more effective. But I'm landing crazy combos on this guy, and they're not giving me enough credit for him. But just because he throws hooks all day long, they're giving it to him. And then when I back up away from him, he starts bobbing up and down, and they all of a sudden, and they give him the knockout. I didn't even waste my time getting back up, because how are you supposed to be an authentic boxing game, but you allowing things like this to happen? How does that work? I'm not understanding why you guys feel like this isn't something that isn't a high priority focus. You know what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, man, it's just really, it's really getting to the point where, like, I'm not bored, but I just want more to be done with it. I want to be able to use Deontay Wilder and put people to sleep if they don't be able to, if they're not focusing on where I'm throwing my shots at, you know what I'm saying? Or if they decide to walk into a straight right hand and they just get sat right down where they are. I want to be able to do stuff like that. I want to be able to throw a combination and landing them at will, and they're crispy, and I get a stun because the guy's playing sloppily. I want to feel that same kind of power I felt in fighting that, when you knew that you were playing against a guy who just wanted to spam all day long, and you knew how to get around it. And not saying I know how to get around this, but what I'm saying is, if a guy was going to spam, it was going to be a short night for him, because I was going to put him out immediately. Or I could toy with him if I wanted to, because I know I could beat him. Like, when you know that there's a definite skill level difference, and you're on the higher end versus him, you know that you were going to beat him. But in Undisputed, they don't allow you to differentiate who's the better fighter and who's not, because according to Undisputed, the better fighter is if I can get these hooks off before you do. If I can land more hooks to your face before you land more on me, I'll beat you. And that's not boxing. That's never been boxing. You know what I mean? So I just really hope that they get it together. But as of right now, I'm starting to slow down my interest with Undisputed, and I appreciate them putting out updates and constantly working diligently to try to, get the game balanced and packaged up as best as they can, so we can start pushing the console. But at this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really starting to get like uninterested in Undisputed. Not to the point where I want a refund, but I want to see this game do better, and it's not moving fast enough for me per se. I see a lot of people always talking about how, oh, I think this one guy was in the Discord. He was talking about how, oh, well, all y'all do is complain. They just put out an update not so long ago that fixed tracking and y'all still want to complain. Listen, don't get it twisted. Complaining is not stating your grievances with the game and then saying how you want them to be fixed. That's not complaining. Complaining is, oh, this game's too hard. Oh, I don't like this game. I don't like the graphics. That's complaining. That is what you call complaining. What I am talking about is, I don't like this game because this reason, and I feel like it should be this instead, and I feel like y'all should go about like this. I'm telling y'all what exactly I want. I'm telling y'all what's wrong, how it should be handled, and what I want to see in the game. I'm telling you what's the matter. Stop confusing people who are stating a complaint with a game as a complaint, not complaint, but stating a grievance with a game as complaining. Stop saying that. If you pay your hard-earned money to play this game or buy this game, if you bought it with your own money, you have every right to state your grievance. You have every right to do that. You have, there's never been a time where you're not supposed to say what's wrong with the game. Like, I'm not like everybody else who will sit there and just accept anything that they give to us. I'm not one of those people. You have every right to say what's wrong with the game and what you want to be fixed, especially if you spent your money on it. So all those people were talking about, oh, you're just complaining, please exit stage left. Please exit stage left. I'm one of those ones that if I see fit for the game to be better, I'm going to speak on it. I'm not going to sit here and just accept what they give us, because when you do that, that's how you become one of those guys that just let a product become stagnant and it becomes a stale product and there's never any progression or there's never any growth from a product. I'm not one of those people. Well, let me know what you think in the comment section down below, man. I'm going to get up out of here. Make sure to like button, comment, subscribe, share the word, spread the links, because you know how I do. But I'm going to get up out of here, man. It's your boy Jay Devon, and I'm signing out. Peace.